So in March of this year, I released a video on Plants vs. Zombies 3, and a lot of you guys liked it a lot, but there was something constant through all of the comments. Battle for Neighborville, the divisive third entry in the Plants vs. Zombies shooter trifecta. Coming off of the critically acclaimed Garden Warfare 2, would Battle for Neighborville be able to capture the original magic of its predecessor? No. Alright, let's be fair here. I replayed this game and wrote a 6,000 word script compiling together an objective review that aims to look at the actual quality of the game itself, leaving behind any emotional attachments I and many other reviewers might have. This is Battle for Neighborville 1 year later, dead overnight. So Plants vs. Zombies on their official Twitter account said, "Hey guys, we are working on a third-person shooter." Releases a trailer on September 4th of 2019. Surprise, you can play it today. Yeah, there was no build-up because they just decided to release it at whim. Moving on. Okay, let's take a few steps back here. PopCap decided just to release this game right when they announced it. And was that a bad idea? Yes. It gave people no time to react. And yeah, we were all excited to play this great looking game. I mean, the trailer really made it look nice. If you purchased the game before the official release date of October the 18th, you could save $10. So instead of $40, the game was a crisp $30. That was already great for all you value seekers out there, but this was a sign. Garden Warfare 2 was a full fat $60. It's as though they had the pride in that this game right here was full of enough content to be worth that $60 price tag, and it was. But the fact that this game was already $40 was a bit worrisome. A game's price tag does not in any way determine the inherent value of it, but it seemed to me as though possibly it had a lower budget, but whatever, that was just speculation. I bought it on day one, and this ain't doing so much for me. The early access, or Founders Edition as they put it, would release content in waves, as in a week by week system. So in the beginning we had Team Vanquish and the hub area, and that's it. Players were a bit put off by this, as PopCap would slowly trickle out content, but whatever, the fact that we got substantial content each week justified their approach in my eyes. So October 18th hits, and all of the day one content is out, so let's check out what we're working with here. On October the 15th, just a couple days before the official release of Battle for Neighborville, PopCap dropped the launch trailer for Battle for Neighborville, and oh my, was this a fantastic trailer. The cinematography was sublime, the positioning and transition between scenes, and the song, oh, the song. Seriously, this whole trailer was fantastic, and I love it. Too bad I love the trailer more than the game. Bless PopCap's heart, but this trailer does not deserve the game it was associated with. Let's take a step back though and view the game for what it has to provide us. The social hub here is called Neighborville. No dip, Sherlock. Each side, plants and zombies, have little mini games and fun side distractions players can engage in. Problem is, I never saw anyone use or actually interact with these things, so while it's a nice addition, I don't think it was used in the scope the trailers or even PopCap was intending. Walk on over here to Giddy Park. This is kind of like the backyard battleground in a way where you can fight with your friends and stuff like that. I like Giddy Park from a PvP perspective, but my problem lies in the fact that it's segmented from the rest of the hub features. What was so cool and perfect about the backyard battleground is that everything you needed was concise and to the point. All of the important things are confined in your little base, walk outside and witness World War II. Here, not only is everything spread out at home base, but instead of just walking out to go to war, you have to be boosted to the area in question. It sounds so small, but it loses just a bit of the immersion and even easy accessibility that the backyard battleground had. Look over here to the vehicles, and these are the PvE regions, or better known as the single player offerings. I must say, these regions are pretty cool. The single player in Garden Warfare 2 was fine, but nothing I would ever want to go back to by any means. Here though, they have fleshed out the single player offerings with collectibles, treasure, missions, all the sorts. IGN criticized this game's PvE, but said the multiplayer was good. Those savages, what were they thinking?
Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville's PvP multiplayer is chaotic fun thanks to its range of modes and diverse cast of characters. And the PvE campaigns aren't worth your time, but it's still as amusing as ever. For more, check out some...
These areas are really expansive to the full scope I'm sure the developers wanted. However, I have a few problems. First off, the structure of all of these areas are the same. Exact amount of missions, there is one garden ops challenge, some NPCs, golden gnomes, etc. I 100%ed quite a few of these areas for review purposes. These are the things I do for you people. However, going through and playing all of them, especially 100%, yeah, breaks are required. Another note, they reuse some, not just some, a lot of the maps in multiplayer. And man, man, is this so lame? I get it, they wanted to save some time and resources, but the problem is that these maps were made for PvE, at least in my eyes. So in multiplayer, they feel pretty off. It just feels like PvE maps that just happen to be in multiplayer. But all in all, these regions are my favorite part of the game. Speaking of multiplayer, it's back and as unchanged as ever. As far as I'm aware of, there are no new legitimate modes except for Battle Arena that I can think of. You still have Team Vanquish, Vanquish Confirmed, No Bomb, and many more that are all back. And they play exactly how you remember. The modes are basically the same from Garden Warfare 2. But aside from that, we still have two other modes to go over, Battle Arena and the Ops mode. I'll start with Battle Arena. This is the new mode that the game introduces, and it's very vanilla and basic from a shooter's perspective, but I love it. From what I was able to play back in the day, this mode was quite popular and remains a persistent formula within the shooter genre. The structure here is that you have 4 players on each team. The last person / team standing wins. When you move on to the next round, however, the character you just used cannot be used again. This game design is integral to learning all of the new characters. More on the characters in a bit. This makes you not cling onto one character and allows players to try characters in multiple types of situations they may not have been in if the game didn't encourage them to. There's also only one map, though because of how distinct it looks and its layout is just so cool, I don't mind it since you can reliably know what map you are about to play on and what turns and twists it holds. The game mode, while being the only new one, is a great addition that turns the tables on the usual gameplay and style presented. Now we move on to Ops, and you may have noticed I've been overall pretty positive during this review so far, but oh boy, what have they done to Ops? Ops is my favorite Garden Warfare game mode out of all of the other game modes. Yes, I said it. I was that kid who played only Ops in the first Garden Warfare game, even though it made you literally no money. What was so fun about the original Ops mode is that it closely resembled the original games with the whole tower defense genre. You got to even grow your little companion plants to help aid you. There were special waves where a theme was present in each wave, different little events that if done correctly would net you even more money. Even boss waves, a roulette would be spun to determine the bosses you would be going against. That's fun. This game mode was perfect, and even though it was rarely anyone's favorite, it will always be my favorite in my heart. Now, Battle for Neighborville, on the other hand, Jesus, there are just so many things wrong with this. Okay, to start off, Ops came in 2 waves, Wave 1 and Wave 2. Not like within the game, like waves of updates. Okay, that's not confusing at all. Wave 1 was absolute garbage. It was so slow, a couple of enemies would spawn, kill them, get to the other couple of enemies, repeat until the next wave, and do it again and again and again. It was painfully slow and so boring. The pacing was horrible. Sure, they had the boss roulette, but that did not help the initial first 4 waves. Thankfully, Ops Wave 2 came out and it was an improvement, just not overall making it much better either. So they fixed up the distribution of enemies, thank God. They added this new feature where you could roll an elite boss wave under the boss roulette. You would play against that boss, but with some kind of gimmick. This was a pretty cool idea, but wasn't expanded very far upon the original concept. Then in Phase 3, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not believe Phase 3 came out, and well, that is a shame. So with just 2 phases, this mode is still pretty bad. Like I said, the enemy variety is lacking considerably. The boss waves are extremely boring. In the Garden Warfare games, they had unique themes and used the variants in the game in creative ways. But now, without the variants, they are so lame and generic. And the worst part of all of this, there is no difficulty selector. Why? In Garden Warfare 1 and 2, you could choose a difficulty to your liking. Obviously, the higher the difficulty, the more rewards you would get. You had easy, normal, hard, and crazy. Crazy mode was when things got real and was how I always played the game. It required real strategy and lived up to the name of crazy. Here though, the game's difficulty locks itself to easy mode, or as I like to call it, baby's first third-person shooter mode. Here's Danerade 3 steps to winning Ops. Step 1, choose Acorn and Oak. Step 2, beat all the zombies. Step 3, you're so stupid. There's no step 3. You already won at that point when you choose Acorn and Oak. And what's even worse is that when you die, you just auto-respawn if one person on your team is alive. That's not fair. The whole point of dying was that it's a huge penalty, as now one of your teammates has to hurry on over in about 20 seconds to revive you, and if not, then oh well, you're out for the round. This mode is just so painful to me. Ops is the worst mode in this game, and it saddens me beyond belief. Well, if Ops was that bad, nothing could get quite as bad as that. Oh no. In every multiplayer game, it is important to have a likable and fun cast of characters characters. Think Team Fortress 2, Overwatch. People adore these games, yes for the gameplay, but also the characters. What gave Garden Warfare its replayability were the character variants. We got the pea shooter, sunflower, soldier, scientist, but things started to get more unique. Electro pea, paleontologist, vampire flower. Yes, it is exactly what it sounds like. I love her. They still kept the basic foundation of their original character, but also distanced themselves to feel just unique enough to where they were fun to play in their own right. So take all that information in and throw it at, because that was Garden Warfare. Now we're talking about Battle for Neighborville. And oh boy, that's your character selection screen. Those are your 20 characters. We have everyone from Garden Warfare 2 returning with some new additions. Snapdragon. For some reason, I always imagine if they were to add a plant from Plants vs. Zombies 2 as a playable character, it would be Snapdragon. And I was right, but I don't know, this one's a fun addition. Though his abilities can always get a bit buggy and laggy. How lame. Oak and Acorn. Holy heck, they broke the game when it first came out. Seriously, even to this day, you run around as Acorn, getting your Oak out, and bam, destroy. Finally, Nightcap. Yeah, this one broke the game too. A very annoying playstyle, and I don't really like this one. I just don't think she was designed very well. Fun, I guess, but god is she annoying to play against. So those were the plants, but what about the zombies? And yep, this is embarrassing. 80s action hero. Oh man, such a cool design and even name. But PopCap said, yeah, let's make one character viable solely by one ability and only that one ability alone. Yeah, that's a good idea. Electric Slide, go away. Just a disco zombie wannabe. No, thank you. And then Space Cadet. I like this one a lot. The design is honestly pretty cute and I like how she just waltzes around in her sprint animation. I love it. Then the first new character that was added was Wizard in March. Oh my god. I don't think it was unrealistic to expect 2 new characters by the end of 2019. Plus, March was an early release of the Wizard, so if you didn't grind away at the prize map, you would have to wait even longer. Oh my god. Plus, the model was already in the game as this NPC on launch day. Come on! Finally, in September, we got TV Head and Dandelion. What? Yeah, so PopCap was designing a couple of new characters and went, as the final update to make it look like we added new characters, we will make NPCs playable as models and animations are already in the game, and all we have to do is make the same moveset for 2 characters and make people wait till the final update to unlock them. What? This new character lineup is so lame. And for a shooter, oh gee god, it's just not good. And I already talked about this with Oak and Acorn and Nightcap, but these characters are not balanced at all. You'd think having a lower character lineup would make it so much easier to balance things out. You'd be mistaken, my friend. Soldier went from one of the worst characters to a broken character in a matter of an update. How does that work? I alluded to this earlier, but PopCap held a poll in the company and asked themselves what would be the best feature in Garden Warfare to get rid of for the new entry. And here we are today. So yeah, no variants, just the base characters. And gee god, is this lame. The variants were what made Garden Warfare. And now this game just feels like all the other generic Ubisoft Tom Clancy games. Seriously, what other games does Ubisoft publish anymore? It's all Tom Clancy games. Instead, we have this fun-filled upgrade system. As you level up a character, you can unlock more abilities like a longer barrel time for Captain Deadbeard, or you can recover health faster. This was already in Garden Warfare 2. You unlocked upgrades as you level up the character. This is literally the same thing. Cannot tell me that PopCap knew that this would be some kind of big deal. They tried to redact their efforts through legendary upgrades. These are basically like variants. They changed up how a character even works. We got one for Colonel Corn, Super Brains, Rose, Scientist, that's it. Yeah, we only ended up getting a few, and they took so long to come. Even when Colonel Corns came, the first one, mind you, they said, oh screw it, let's give him a shield. These were accessible through Rux. Speaking of which, Rux is back, and he has come back in a way I was afraid he would, through expensive cosmetics, which is code for you can earn rainbow stars, and you use those stars to buy a whole bunch of stuff like cosmetics. And having the ability to give Colonel Corn a shield, I still don't get why they gave him a shield. Some of the cosmetics can be pricey, especially the really nice looking ones. However, not Fortnite pricey, thank god. Rainbow stars are also much easier to obtain in-game than say V-Bucks. I mean, I'd expect that since you already paid $40 to get this game, so I'd hope they wouldn't lean too heavily on microtransactions. Talking about here. During the last few months of the game's updates, PopCap and EA both seemingly focused more and more on Rux a lot more, trying to squeeze every penny out of the game as they could with more and more cosmetics. But what about those cosmetics? Well, I'll admit they are super cool. If you ask me, Garden Warfare 1 cosmetics were cool. Garden Warfare 2, I feel as though cosmetics were fine, but never really were all that amazing. Now look at this. It's a Volcano Snapdragon. This is so cool looking. I bought it. What? It's only 500,000 coins. Jesus, I have have no perception of value apparently. Look at me, I am a proud owner of an Oculus Quest 2, ahahaha. They went out of their way to make some of these cosmetics look awesome. And even though I'd like them to focus on the actual game instead of cosmetics, they are pretty cool. I ended up using my rainbow stars specifically on this hat for Captain Deadbeard, and it is lovely. But what is lame is the distribution of cosmetics. Instead of sticker packs, the game introduces the Rewardotron 9000. You get one cosmetic per 30,000 coins. How the heck was no one complaining about this when the game first came out? I saw little to no one talk about this, and I don't get why. They are trying to spread out how much you can get in the amount of time while you play the game. That is dumb. And sometimes you wouldn't even get cosmetics. Many times it would just be a speech bubble or a little stupid emoji thing. But all those extra rewards you wouldn't get in the Prizotron 9000 went into the prize map. Yep, so this is PopCap's version of the Battle Pass. They mentioned how, oh, don't worry guys, it's free for everyone. I mean, I'd like to think it's free. Like I literally just said a couple minutes ago, you already paid 40 bucks for this game, so I'd like them to not lean so much on the microtransactions. Here you can get a whole bunch of rewards like cosmetics, rainbow stars, emojis, speech bubbles. Alright, this isn't that much different from the Rewardotron. The only difference is that you have to actually play the game a lot more, and it's a limited time, and it will never, ever come back in any way, shape, or form, ever. Let's talk about the presentation of the game. So I kind of like and don't like how this game looks. I think this art style fits more with the PvZ branding, but my problem is that there wasn't enough polish put into it. Like, I'm not going to say Garden Warfare 1 and 2 looked like masterpieces, no, but they certainly went for their own visually appealing style that wasn't trying to look like the original PvZ games. Like I said, I like the concepts and ideas presented, but some things really look like they could have used some polishing. There are plenty of bugs and glitches that haven't been patched since day one. Some abilities are really janky. Looking at you, Snapdragon. However, I won't deny that the game does look really nice in many cases, purely based on a visual level. I mean, you cannot deny that going from this to this is just a substantial improvement. Even Pichu here is just so lovable. While playing the game again for the video, I noticed just how much charm this game has. Locations emit very small and minute details that are always appreciated. Even in the character animations of the hero classes, Cactus, Space Cadet, Wizard all have fun, quirky animations. Neighborville would be decked out with fun seasonal goodies. Like at the moment, it's Halloween season, so Neighborville is given a wonderful Halloween makeover. Other holidays like Christmas and Valentine's Day received makeovers as well. Moving on to the sound design. So let's talk about the sound design for one quick moment. Is the music good, Danerade? What do you think of it? Well, it's good, but I am disappointed. One of my biggest pet peeves is when games reuse sound effects and especially music. This game reuses way too many tracks for my liking. For a game that is trying to distance itself from its predecessors, yeah, it ain't doing a good job from the sound department standpoint. Like, this is Baron's theme in Battle for Neighborville and Baron's theme from Garden Warfare 2. They're literally the same thing. All they added was a bit of bass, and that's not original enough. We did get some new tracks, don't get me wrong, but sometimes in the wrong places, I feel. Very lame to say the least. But technically the music is good since I like the Garden Warfare soundtrack, so on a technical level, yeah, the music is pretty good in this game, but it's still very lame. Speaking of lame, the new logo, is it bad? Is it good? Okay, I'm gonna defend myself and say new logo isn't a bad idea. I mean, they've used the same template for 10 plus years. I don't mind a change, but the logo itself feels just a bit stock generic. Like, all it boils down to is a nicely drawn font. The original had so much character, and this does not scream Plants vs. Zombies to me. You know where else they use this logo? Oh Jesus, man, not you again. Battle for Neighborville. What happened? Well, I think the worst thing that happened was its release. See, Battle for Neighborville was announced and released on September 4th, 2019. No time to breathe or to be hyped, nothing. And I don't think this game was really ready for launch. I honestly think they should have revealed the game on September 4th, but released it in February of 2020. This launch reminds me a lot of the launch of the Sega Saturn's launch. They revealed the console and said, hey guys, you can buy this right now. Shadow drops only really work well for smaller releases, not your flagship console or game. Because of this abrupt launch, I knew nobody who knew of this game. Seriously, I was worried about this game as nobody was even talking about it. Only a few months after its release, I went to Target and already the game was on sale. That's not a good sign. And even communication from PopCap died down considerably after the first few months. The worst part of all of this just updates were painfully slow. Like, I get it, the whole pandemic thing happened in March, but from September to March, we got nothing. Prize maps, Rugs outfits, and Wizard, that's it. I mean, yeah, you have the sprinkles of like Ops Wave 2 and character balance changes, but the updates were nothing huge. That was so sad to me, as Garden Warfare 1 got so many updates. The game would constantly get new characters, maps, game modes, customizations, all of that. Garden Warfare 2, it was a little less, but we still got that super awesome single player update involving the gnomes and new characters, some new maps, all of that was still there. Here though, Battle for Neighborville was barely getting any support, and that scared me. Then as the game's life went on, people started to regularly stop playing the game, including myself, and we haven't even talked about the biggest problem yet. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, how could we not have already talked about the biggest problem yet? And here is why. When nobody plays a multiplayer shooter game, the horror begins. How am I supposed to play your game when your game lobbies are dead? Way back in this review, I stated this. From what I was able to play back in the day, this mode was quite popular and remains a persistent formula within the shooter genre. That's because whenever I join a lobby, it is dead. And don't say my internet is bad, look at my ping. So if your servers are dead, I cannot even play your game. So PopCap scrambled around and decided to add bots. No! Now I'm playing a multiplayer shooter game all by myself with a couple of humans if you're lucky. It's like you have to pay PopCap $40 to experience loneliness in a video game. Most, if not all of my recording sessions I had were in private lobbies with bots. The addition of private play is a nice addition, by the way, but still. If private play and multiplayer are almost the same thing, both being littered with bots, that is just wrong. I am so pissed at this game I don't even like in the first place. Now, I will point out this. It seems as though console servers are a bit more active than those of PC. So if you have this game on console, then you should be able to get in some lobbies here or there. But gee god, for PC, I am not the only person who has this problem. It's conclusion time, so is this game worth it? I'm sorry, but no. It lacks charm from a gameplay standpoint and the depth of its predecessors, and it is a shame to say the least. It is sad to see a franchise held up in such high regard be brought down by a misfire. Do I like this game? No, not really, but why is that? I noticed while I replayed this game, I had fun with it. I mean, it's a PvC shooter, it won't bite. My main problem and why I cannot recommend it is its lack of replayability. I remember dropping this game fairly quickly due to the fact that many features from Garden Warfare 2 were absent, and the new features couldn't even make up for the ones we lost. The lack of updates really killed the game for me and a lot of people, which is a shame because I know that plenty of love was poured into this game. Even the final update added a lot of quality of life changes, stuff like UI and icon changes, private play, which is weird that it wasn't here from the start, but whatever, and 2 lame yet still technically new characters. However, at the start of September, fans were greeted with a very passive and quiet cancellation of all future support for this game through EA's website. Now I know I have expressed in this video why I don't really like this game, but it didn't have to be this way. Battle for Neighborville is what I could describe as half-baked, in that there are a lot of fun and exciting ideas, yet forgetting the extra polish and what made the original shooters so good. If at the very least the core structural gameplay and additional updates were to be fixed, this could have been a worthy predecessor to the older titles. At the end of the day, Battle for Neighborville is one I cannot recommend. It lacks the complexity and depth of the older titles and introduces some great and some less than desirable additions or changes that make the overall experience tampered enough to where the fun factor is severely limited the more you play it. This is week 3 of Danerade month. Week 4, the final week, will be to repeat, week 4, the final week will be
oh boy, will the viewers be in for a treat. Let's just say things will take on a different approach with me in charge. Isn't that right, Danerade?
Yes, sir.